Machiavelli said it right. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. When you do that, respect follows without you saying a word. That truth hits hard. You can fake charm, you can act confident, but when life turns up the pressure, the mask always cracks. Real character shows when things get tough. Respect comes when what's inside you matches what you show outside. When you can stay calm while others lose control. When you stop chasing validation because deep down, you already know your value. Let people feel your presence without you saying a word. That's how real respect is earned. Not through fear, but through quiet truth. Now, before diving deep, subscribe this channel if you haven't already, because here you'll find videos that can change your way of thinking and teach you how to live like a king. Now let's begin. Rule number 1, discipline demands the death of comfort. You can't expect people to respect you if you're still ruled by your own impulses. Respect doesn't come from charm, money, or intelligence. It comes from discipline. Every man who ever earned loyalty first learned to control himself. He realized the real fight wasn't out there. It was inside. The weak chase comfort, thinking it's safety, but comfort is what kills dignity. It's that voice that says, "You've done enough," when you've barely started. It tells you to rest when you should be getting stronger. Stay in that zone too long and it steals your edge. The thing that makes people respect you. Discipline doesn't let that happen. It cuts through the lies comfort tells. It makes you bleed now so you can stand tall later. As Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, self-respect is the fruit of discipline. The sense of dignity grows with the ability to say no to oneself. And that no, that quiet defiance against your lower nature, is where the transformation begins. Every time you say no to laziness, no to temptation, no to self-pity, you reclaim a piece of your power. Respect is never born in ease. It's born when you train your mind to endure pain without complaint. When you wake up earlier than your excuses, when you hold your word even when it hurts. That's when the world begins to notice. Not because you told them who you are, but because your actions force them to see it. A disciplined man doesn't chase validation. He radiates certainty. His very presence reminds others of what they've lost. Control, integrity, purpose, and that silent reminder commands more respect than any loud demand ever could. So, discipline is the root, and comfort must die for it to grow. Rule number 2, honor begins where cowards start making excuses. Respect starts where excuses end. Every coward has a story. A reason why they couldn't, why it wasn't their fault, why the world was unfair. But those stories are just shields for weakness. A man with honor doesn't hide behind excuses. He owns his mistakes and learns from them. He doesn't talk about what he'll do. He proves it through action. The moment you begin to explain why you fell short, you've already lost your power. Excuses are chains made of soft words, and they wrap tighter with every repetition. The brave man cuts them loose. He understands that failure doesn't destroy honor. Excuses do, because every excuse is a confession that you feared discomfort more than you valued growth. As James Gilligan once said, there is nothing more shameful than to feel ashamed. It reveals that a person has something to feel ashamed about. Shame festers in those who refuse responsibility, but honor grows in those who face their flaws, acknowledge their faults, and rise again with sharper intent. To earn respect, you must raise your standard above your own comfort zone. When others hide behind their excuses, you must step into accountability like a warrior steps into fire. Say less, do more. Let your endurance become your argument. People respect the man who owns his failures without trembling. They fear the one who doesn't need to explain himself. Because when you stop seeking pity, you start commanding admiration. The world bows to those who stand tall under their own mistakes. Honor doesn't live in perfection, it lives in persistence. It begins when the coward's voice inside you starts whispering, "You can't," and you answer, "Watch me." That's the standard, the line between the weak and the worthy, between those who talk and those who become. So, honor begins where cowards start making excuses. Rule number 3, respect that isn't earned always ends in humiliation. There's one law every man chasing greatness learns the hard way. You can't keep what you didn't earn. If you build respect on fear or fake power, it'll turn on you. The moment your actions stop matching your image, the fall begins. And it's quiet at first, until the silence becomes humiliation. True respect has weight. It's carved through sacrifice, not purchased through noise. The weak crave recognition before they've proven their worth. They want the crown without surviving the battle. But the wise know that every title, every victory, every ounce of dignity must be deserved, not demanded. As Aristotle once said, dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in deserving them. And that truth cuts like a blade. Because every man who builds his respect on appearances is living on borrowed time. When the test comes, when comfort fades and struggle calls, the undeserving crumble beneath their own disguise. To make others respect you, never chase their validation. Build something within yourself that cannot be taken away. Discipline, loyalty, mastery. When you walk into a room, let your silence speak what your mouth never has to. Let your consistency do the talking. People bow to those who no longer beg to be seen. The humble warrior earns respect not by shouting his value, but by becoming indispensable. His honor isn't printed on medals or followers. It's engraved in the way he carries himself when no one is watching. And if the world ever forgets to acknowledge you, let it. Because what is earned cannot be erased by ignorance. But what is stolen, praised, or faked will always end in collapse. Rule number 4, the way you treat yourself is the curse you teach others. The world is your reflection. Every person you meet learns how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. If you belittle your worth, tolerate disrespect, or hide your voice to be liked, you are teaching them your limits. And once they learn your limits, they will never forget them. Respect doesn't begin when others acknowledge you. It begins when you stop shrinking for them. The man who doubts his own value invites others to doubt it too. The moment you trade your peace for approval, you lose the quiet power that makes people take you seriously. Fyodor Dostoevsky once wrote, "If you want to be respected by others, the great thing is to respect yourself. Only by self-respect will you compel others to respect you." That is not a suggestion, it's a law of human nature. People sense when you walk with conviction. They sense when your words come from someone who refuses to be small. Self-respect is the armor no betrayal can pierce. It's the voice that says, "I will not beg for what I deserve." When you carry that energy, others feel it, even in your silence. They either rise to your standard or remove themselves from your presence. Both outcomes serve your peace. But self-respect demands courage. It means walking away from those who drain you. It means saying no when it costs you company. It means loving yourself enough to protect your dignity like a fortress. You teach the world how to treat you by what you tolerate. And every time you choose to honor yourself, you raise the mirror higher, forcing others to see what integrity truly looks like. Respect yourself first, because the world is only your echo. Rule number 5, control your mind or it will turn you into a slave. The greatest empire you will ever govern is not a kingdom of land or people. It is the restless, roaring realm inside your own skull. Your thoughts are soldiers, your emotions are spies, and your habits are the laws of this unseen nation. If you do not rule them, they will rule you. And a man ruled by his mind is a man stripped of his crown. The undisciplined are always conquered, not by others, but by themselves. Their moods decide their direction. Their fears write their fate. They wait for permission to act, to rise, to lead. And by waiting, they hand over their throne. As Nietzsche warned, if you are too weak to give yourselves your own law, then a tyrant shall lay his yoke upon you and say, obey. Clench your teeth and obey. The tyrant he spoke of is not always a man. It is your comfort, your addiction, your endless doubt. When you refuse to command your mind, something else will gladly take the seat. The world respects those who lead themselves, not those who are driven by every storm of emotion. To make others respect you, first earn sovereignty over your thoughts. Do not let anger make your decisions or fear set your boundaries. Learn to pause, to breathe, to think with clarity when chaos surrounds you. That is the mark of a ruler, not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Every great warrior wins 2 battles, one against the world and one within. The second one decides the first. Control your inner kingdom, and the outer one will kneel in time. Control your mind with iron discipline, or watch it enslave you in silence. Rule number 6, strength without humility always ends in collapse. Power is a dangerous gift. It sharpens your vision, amplifies your confidence, and commands the attention of others. But without humility, it becomes poison. The higher a man rises, the more tempting it is to forget the ground he came from. And the moment pride blinds him, the fall begins. True strength is not in domination. It's in restraint. It's in the quiet awareness that no matter how powerful you become, you are still human, still breakable, still learning. The arrogant forget this. They mistake respect for worship, and in doing so, they build their own downfall. As Rick Warren wrote, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Humility isn't weakness, it's balance, the invisible thread that keeps greatness from devouring itself. It allows you to wield strength with grace, authority with compassion, and success without losing your soul. Those who lack humility eventually choke on their own ego. They push too hard, speak too loudly, and demand too much until the world grows tired of their noise. Respect earned through fear dies the moment fear fades. But respect born from humility, that lasts, because people trust the man who carries power gently. A humble warrior doesn't kneel to others. He kneels to truth. He knows that mastery means serving a purpose greater than himself. That awareness makes him unshakable, not because he's perfect, but because he remembers what truly matters. The balance between strength and humility is sacred. Lose it, and your might turns to arrogance. Preserve it, and your influence becomes immortal. Be strong enough to lead, but humble enough to listen. That is how you rise without falling. Rule number 7, dignity speaks in silence, and silence terrifies the weak. There is a kind of power that cannot be shouted. It is carried in silence. The man who possesses dignity doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't waste words defending his worth. His calm presence alone unsettles those who thrive on noise and chaos. Because silence is not emptiness, it's control. The weak fear silence because it exposes them. It reveals insecurity they've been hiding behind their noise. But the dignified man knows that his stillness speaks louder than arguments ever could. Every moment he chooses restraint over reaction, he reclaims his power from the hands of others. Jackie Robinson once said, "The most luxurious possession, the richest treasure anybody has, is their personal dignity." Dignity is the quiet wealth of the strong, invisible but undeniable. It's the aura that follows a man who refuses to lower himself, no matter the insult or provocation. When you stop responding to disrespect, you start commanding it. People sense when your silence is not weakness, but awareness. When your calm is not surrender, but judgment. You teach the world that you cannot be moved by their noise because you move from something deeper. The loudest man in the room is often the emptiest, but the one who carries himself with calm certainty, he makes others question their own chaos. That's the secret of dignity. It doesn't chase validation, it attracts reverence. Hold your silence like a weapon. Let others exhaust themselves trying to shake it. In time, they'll learn that true respect is not earned through noise, but through presence. Rule number 8, power without character eventually eats its master. Power is the heaviest burden a man can carry. It seduces, it blinds, and if you're not grounded by character, it consumes you from within. Many rise to power, but few survive it, not because the world destroys them, but because their own corruption does. Power without restraint turns pride into poison. It feeds your ego until you can no longer hear the truth. It isolates you in admiration and blinds you to the very flaws that will undo you. The weak man believes power will protect him. The wise man knows it will test him. As Alfred Adler once said, "Men of genius are admired, men of wealth are envied, men of power are feared, but only men of character are trusted." Power may make others bow, but only character makes them believe. Without integrity, authority becomes tyranny, and respect becomes fear in disguise. To make others truly respect you, you must carry power like a sacred weight, not as a tool to dominate, but as a duty to protect. The strongest leaders are those who never forget humility when the crown touches their head. They remember that the same power that builds can also destroy. Character is what steadies the hand that holds the sword. It reminds you that leadership is not about being served, but about serving something greater than yourself. It's what keeps your ambition from devouring your soul. The world respects the powerful, but it trusts the honorable. When power and character walk together, they create legacy. When they part, they leave ruin. Never chase power for its own sake. Become the kind of man who can bear it without breaking. Because in the end, it's not power that defines you. It's whether or not it had to destroy you to prove you were strong. Rule number 9. The day you stop seeking approval, the world turns uneasy. The day you stop begging for validation is the day you begin to live with grace. Approval is the sweetest trap ever built. It flatters your ego while it steals your freedom. The more you chase it, the more it owns you. People learn to control you with smiles, with silence, with small rewards for your obedience. And before you realize it, you've traded your truth for applause. But the man who no longer seeks permission to exist becomes untouchable. He stops performing and starts becoming. He stops asking, "Will they like me?" and starts asking, "Will I respect myself after this?" That shift shakes the world, because society thrives on those who conform, not those who awaken. Erich Fromm once said, "Man's main task in life is to give birth to himself, to become what he potentially is. The most important product of his effort is his own personality. That is the essence of grace, becoming your own creation. Not molded by trends, opinions, or praise, but by conviction. You cannot command respect while living as a mirror of others. True grace is found in self-creation, in crafting a life so genuine that imitation becomes impossible. When you no longer bend to be accepted, people either grow uneasy or grow inspired. Both are proof that you've reclaimed your power. Remember this, the crowd only praises what makes them comfortable. Once you rise beyond that, they will resist, criticize, and test you. Let them. Their discomfort is confirmation that you're becoming what they never dared to be. Approval is a leash, grace is freedom. The world fears those who walk freely because such men cannot be bought, controlled, or silenced. Rule number 10, true power needs no audience. Power starts to rot the moment you use it to show off. The loudest leader is usually the weakest one. If you have to keep proving your strength, you've already lost it. Real power is quiet. It doesn't chase attention, it builds results. The world might not clap for it, but everyone feels it, like thunder hiding behind the clouds. The ones who truly command respect do not chase attention. They command alignment. Their confidence is not built on reaction, but on discipline. They understand that leadership is not about domination, but direction. As Niccolò Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. And to command, you must first conquer the chaos within. You cannot rule others if you are a stranger to self-control." Power isn't about shouting orders. It's about becoming someone whose very calmness inspires obedience. The strong do not intimidate. They influence. They lead not through fear, but through presence. The audience will always crave spectacle. They cheer for the loud. They follow the dramatic. They idolize those who glitter. But the crown belongs to the one who moves in silence and still shifts the world around him. Because real power doesn't need validation. It radiates authority that no crowd can grant and no enemy can strip away. Respect flows naturally to those who no longer depend on it. The moment you stop demanding recognition, you start embodying it. That's when people listen. Not because they're told to, but because something inside them knows you've earned it. So wear your strength like a crown no one can see. Let your composure be your throne. You don't need applause when your mere existence commands attention. Final advice. In the end, respect isn't something you earn once. It's something you have to protect for the rest of your life. When the noise dies down and the pride burns away, what's left is quiet strength, the kind that comes from knowing who you are. That's the real measure of power, not arrogance, not noise, just steady confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. The world can strip you of status, friends, even fortune, but it cannot touch the dignity you've built within, because true respect begins where self-approval replaces the need for praise. As it's been said, when you accept and appreciate yourself, you can handle any situation with class, dignity, and respect. And that is where the journey ends. Not in conquest, but in peace. Not in applause, but in clarity. You don't need the world to validate your worth when your very presence proves it. This is the final measure, when nothing outside you can shake what's already whole inside. If these words reach the part of you that refuses to stay ordinary, don't stop here. There's more to learn, more truth to uncover, more strength to build. Subscribe now and keep walking the path of those who rise in silence.